Hello everybody and welcome back to Wappelville. We got something for you here, and you've seen me use this a few times now. This is the metallic medium, and this is from Pro Acryl. You can get this on the Creaturecaster website. And we're going to do some Necron action here, but we're going to do it in true metallic metal style. Now, I've got a little example for you right here. There, that's a little better. So you can see that's not color shift paint, actually. That is just metallics right there. And yes, that is also metallics combined with some object source lighting. So we're going to try and do that. You can see some pictures of that. That's a bit of a reference in our lower left and right hand corners there. And we're going to try that right here. So in combination with our metallic medium, we've got some of the transparent paints here. And we've tried these already. They really mix very well. So some really nifty results from that. We're also going to use some of our golden acrylics fluorescent paint over here. Now, if you want to see just the latest example, this is something I did for the Patreon page right here. So you can see we've got, see that red reflected from the robe? That's actually metallic. Yes, it's red, but when you mix that metallic paint in there, boy, you just get some really interesting results. Now, I may have to do some adjustments here on my lights, so I think that's going to be okay for right now. So again, typical sort of Necron Destroyer right here. Now, if you're wondering about the basing, we'll check that out real quick. So see that. We've got a base all set up for this. I don't know if we'll actually get to the painting on this. It would be fun if we did. Maybe I'll just do it in another live episode, maybe a quicker one. But you can see that's our Sculpey base. Let's check that out right there. Now I did this for an army painting series, and this is pretty much what we were left over with. This is that gray extra firm Sculpey. Really nifty. Look at all those nifty little details on there, and you can really do some fun stuff. Here's another example. This is a previous live session where we painted this guy here. So this is non-metallic metals, and there is your really fun base right there. So we're going to get him off to the side, get him out of the way so we don't mess him up. There's another example right here. And I can show you where you get that. So that is right here. This is on the Green Stuff World site, and it's one of dozens of rollers that they have. Let's see if we can get in close. Look at that. That fun texture right there. And I've got other tutorials on how to bake your Sculpey and how to, the right kind of Sculpey to use, that sort of thing. I'm going to get some of these guys out of the way and show you real quick. So that is the whole unit right there that I did. Well, it's a set of figures, right? I can see some of the purples, some of the greens, some of the blues. That is what we're going to try and do here. All right, I've got another one that shows things closer up. And then we've got another one, again, closer on the, so you can see all those blues and purples there. Let's see, first and last is in the house. Oh, I guess I'm going to have to do this all over again. Let's see if this will work. There, let's try that. There we go, look at that, it works. It's been definitely an interesting few weeks. I hope you guys are all doing great. Now, what I'm going to do here is just hit this first with some of those darks. So thanks for helping me get that chat going. What means I'm going to move this, make that bigger so I can see what the heck I am doing. So we got transparent black over here. We've got transparent purple, blue, green, yellow. There's your fluorescent. There's your metal medium. This is an opaque over here. That is the blue-black. This is the faded plum, faded ultramarine, transparent brown. So what we will do, this is just water. This is what I do really like about the transparency of Pro Acryl versus, say, the contrast paints. So let's do something like this here. Let's get some of this purple and black, maybe even a little bit of the blue together here. We got something that's pretty dark. But what we are going to also do is grab a little bit of this. Look what happens there. See how shiny that just got? real shiny, but it's really dark. And it's also basically a wash. Now look at how this is super liquid right here. So it's like you've just made, for all intents and purposes, a metallic contrast paint. And what we're going to do is just going to throw this on here just to, like we would do some of our initial glazes, right? We're quite literally glazing a metallic over this thing. Oh, just for funsies, because, why not? Here, let's take a little bit of black and let's change that color around. Look at what that's doing. So yes, it is what, but look at that. Look at that nifty little effect right there. This is actually the first time I've tried this, so hey, wanted to see what would happen. So this is really fun. I just, as much as I would love to paint the base on the stream here, I just look at that. I mean, we're gonna be painting over that, but just a straight up glaze. That's kind of neat. That is not too shabby there. And just gonna let that mix together. Look at how that's changing a little bit here and there, but it still has some metallic particles. Just oh, okay. Thanks for the spot there, Redouan, and I hope correct me if I said that correctly. Now, the stupid window for typing in the description on XSplit is, well, let's just say it's not the greatest. Doesn't really let you see everything you're typing. So there's times where it actually hasn't even registered what I typed, which is not helpful at all. But yeah, look at that. Again, it's just an initial glaze too. That's all we're doing here is just getting this a little bit towards a darker tone. And let's grab a little bit. Now, of course, what happens with the metallic paints or the metallic medium is it's going to lighten the color slightly. And you can see what I'm doing now. I'm changing that again. It's almost more of a bronze sort of a look there. Most of that's going to get lit up quite literally by his Gauss cannon there. So here, I'm going to change this again. Look at that. I just wanted to see what this would look like. I had no real idea exactly what would happen. I had a thought of what might happen, but it's kind of neat to get to actually try it out. It's a difficult name, so red. Yeah, I think I keep trying to throw a little bit of a maybe a Spanish flavor on that when it actually should not be that sort of a accent or that sort of a what would you even say? Oh, here, let's do some more of this on the underside here. Just enough metal medium to get that working. Look at how it's kind of making a, what was that, 10 bits? Wasn't that the old GW color way back in the day? That sort of was your base of your metals for basically everything, pretty much. Yeah, look what that does. So again, what if you could do glazes but with metallics? Because what's the first thing that happens? What is that, like the Nuln Oil and stuff, right? You use that stuff. What happens? It kills your whole metallic effect, dulls it down, which not necessarily the most horrible thing in the world, because in your shadow areas, should you really have a super shiny metallic effect anyway? Maybe not. But in any case, it's pretty here. We'll have to put some more of that transparent brown out there, but look at how bright that gets. That was just a little bit of that metal medium in there. Boom. It gets brighter. So, yeah, see the difference that makes now? It also is going to make your transparent paint a little less transparent. So, another thing to keep in mind. But yeah, so that's pretty nifty. I think it would be fun too if maybe this was primed even darker. I did sort of a poor man's zenithal on this. Really nothing fancy. Here, let's get some more of this rare indigo here. All I'm trying to do is get rid of all the primer there. Get that covered up. Gonna go here back into my blues right here, and we'll just do another round of this since we held it upside down and kind of messed with our shading over there. We'll just do another round of that. And we will get some of our sort of bronze color in here. Now what I have is that my lights turned way down. Oh, hey Bethany, how's it going? Now is the internet been behaving for you? Because believe it or not, the next, well, the 3 or 4 days around when you were having such an issue trying to watch I think it was the Twitch stream, right? Or was it one of the last live sessions? We have been having a bear of a time with our phones, not with the internet as far as the computers go, but man, our phones. See, look at this. Look at that juicy purple right there. Let's get a little more of the transparent black, some of the blue. Look at that. Let's throw some of that in here too, because, well, we can. Is that going to end up being the final color? Probably not. But we're looking for a darker tone. I'm going to throw some of that in here too. It sort of likes to be wet into wet like that. Let's get some more of that over here too. See, it doesn't really take long to all of a sudden have a nice, it's almost like we've done our own sort of color shift effect, I guess. Minus all of the craziness of dealing with the color shift paints. And that's just, again, all it is some glazes. It's nothing else but some glazes. Now what I can do is soak up some of the extras here with the brush. See, along the edge there so it doesn't necessarily pool too much. I could use the sponge and wipe some of it away. But yeah, we actually had to, even basically our non-Wi-Fi stuff, it wasn't working like at all. It was the darndest thing. We had no idea what was going on. We noticed over the Easter weekend, guess what happened? Reception got a whole bunch better. And guess what happened today? Reception got a whole lot worse. All we can figure is that, well, people were actually not teleworking or doing whatever that was demanding so much of the internet. That's all we could figure. So again, I'm just going to take some of this away. So it's so much like the initial glazes, right, that you guys have seen. Kind of an interesting twist. There's I can take some of that away there too. Oh, I'm going to throw out a bit more of my transparent black here. Now you can use the regular Pro Acryls too, but the transparents, they are so intense as far as just pure pigment goes that you get some nifty results from that. So I'm going to mix some of the black. See how we just darken that up in there? Look at that. Still a metallic though. And boom. Over the end of the Gauss cannon. Internet's still dodgy, but better than it was. Now, did you notice any change over the weekend as far as reception or whatever? Because it was a stark, well, I should have noticed it right away, but I think by Saturday afternoon, I noticed a big difference from what it had been. And then Sunday, when we both sort of became aware of it, we said, man, I think there's something going on here. And sure enough, today, I could tell it was sort of back up to its old things again. All right, so here in this area, we are going to take some of this, more of a bronze type of a mix there too. So we were able to change and shift all of our colors around. I'll grab the other one here. So you can see here that we've got that blue and the purple and everything else. We've already started to suggest that here, but that's just with some initial glazes, and it really does have a little bit of a shine to it. Now, the flying stand, you can see I've got it pinned right there. See the pin in there? That is going to fit in here. This is actually removable. I could take this out and paint it if I want, but we got some skulls on there. And next, we want to get some of our fluorescent paint in here. Again, this is golden. I've used the Vallejo fluorescent paint in the past. That's always been pretty good, but this has been a whole lot of fun right here. So what I'm going to do is we'll get some of that junk out of the brush, and I'm going to take some of our fluorescent here. Again, I'm going to go into our metallic. And the idea here is, again, not just to establish that greenish glow, but to continue. Now I'm going to actually go with my other. So this one, you can see a nice beat up brush, right? Monday it was useless, but I've been doing more painting than gaming anyway. Yeah, well, we don't. Oh, geez, when's the last time I played a computer game? It has to have been years ago. I mean, probably 2 years ago, maybe. At least that. So here's our metallic fluorescent paint. Say that 3 times fast and believe that it's possible. Not going to turn that upside down just yet because, well, we got some of these other washes we would like to have dry. But what we are going to do is start to work on our energy feeds right here. And once this all dries in here, we're going to start to do the same kind of reflecting of light that we've got on this guy. So I'm going to just sort of see what it is we're after. So see how that reflects right there. That is what we're going to try and do in this area. But I just got to let that dry. So in the meantime, just going to not really worried about does it completely cover or anything like that, because we're going to be doing a lot more with this. Also have to remember that this fluorescent paint here, it's going to be pretty darn transparent. So I think I can show you here. Yeah, see how that, yes, it sort of covers it, but not a whole bunch. That is what I was hoping for. Now let's get some of this on his arm. And remember, this is transparent, it's fluorescent, it's metallic. It is all of those things. I used to think that there was no way that you could do object source lighting with metallics because, well, it makes sense, right? Because what happens when you start putting anything that's not metallic and paint over metallic paints, you lose the metallic effect, except here. So look at that. See that? Turn this just so you can see that. Again, it's sort of a semi-transparent effect, but it still has your metallic effect in it. We're going to be putting more lighter coats over that anyways. But like I always do, and I know Bethany's like, object source lighting again, what the heck? How about Reduon? I'm going to say Reduon. I've been painting more and more myself. Got a lot more daylight these days. Don't have good lamps to paint in the dark yet. Actually, well, of course, the way Amazon is nowadays. But the lights that I'm using here, these are, a lot of them are the ones that I use at conventions or my classes at conventions. They're just, usually about $10-12. They're LED lights. They're not my magnifier light, but they're LED lights. They're USB powered. They actually have their own little battery in them. I use them for my photography. I use them for everything. And they should only be somewhere in the neighborhood of between $10 and $14 a piece. And the nice thing is that they usually have a flexible neck on them so that you can move the light wherever you need it. Because I'm surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those right now. It's actually the light that I'm using here, among other things. So if you're looking for a way of lighting things that's maybe not quite so expensive, because we've gotten the $80 magnifier lights too, and nothing wrong with those. Here, let's get a little bit of our green onto this too. But you see how what that sort of bronzy color stays, doesn't get wiped out completely. That's very important. Now we're certainly going to get ourselves some of our lighting right there. Yeah, there is a whole lot more to do with that. This is just our initial little layers here. Now, I did not assemble any of the Necron figures. These are a rescue, essentially. We got these, oh my goodness, you don't even want to know how long ago that was, but it was a long time ago. Many moons ago, we got these, and they were just kind of in a destroyed state. No pun intended. But I did the best I could to fix these things up and clean them up. They were really more just so that I could try some different things like this, like the true metallics, because I've never gotten a chance to do that. So he says I can see if Amazon sells those here. That's actually where I got all of these things from. Quite literally, all of them came from Amazon, and they should only be somewhere in the neighborhood of between $10 to $15 a piece. And obviously, they don't have any magnification ability, but I was just using them I was taking a bunch of photos of terrain, and they were fantastic. I could get them, just position them anywhere I needed, and that was really helpful. So again, just putting that glow where I think it should be. And see here, I just have to put a suggestion of it. So it's transparent enough that what's underneath there still shows through. And look at how much lighter we can actually go. Now I have to remember that is in shadow. I'm also trying to not run into stuff that is still wet. This also needs to have some green on it, which means a bit of glow here. But see, look at that. See that purple tinge there? The Dutch Amazon doesn't really sell much in the way of hobby product. Well, they're just desk lamps, really. That's all they really are, is just a desk lamp. So it's not really a hobby type of thing. It's reading lamps. That's it, maybe. Maybe that's a better way to determine that. I don't have enough room here to haul one of those under the camera and show you. Otherwise, I would. But I could always, heck, I could even, you'd have to remind me to maybe link in the description an Amazon link to the type of lamps that I'm talking about. But yeah, they are really definitely very inexpensive. See, if I add even some more of the metallic medium, that starts to actually make it lighter also. But yeah, let's not have that get too. All right, let's do our. So this is not going to make it that much lighter, but it is going to make it a little more opaque. So we're starting to get a little bit of a brighter glow here. I'll also be doing some of those darker glazes over this. But you see now there's a little variation into this. Sort of a background variation on that. Do that on the underside here. Now I can sort of tip this over with a little more confidence and not worry about washes and glazes going all over the place. So that Army Painter series that I did with the Necrons, the idea is just like always, it starts with basing, right? As always. Then it takes you through, that's the sculpting of the bases, the painting of the bases, all that kind of stuff. And then 4 more episodes, just working our way through the rest of the unit. And as you can see, I try to do as many different things as I can, different genres, different systems, different techniques. So see how that all of a sudden now that starts to get brighter and brighter. But yet all this while it's still metallic. See how it starts to brighten up. Yeah, I think I can tip this over now. I don't think I have to worry about washes anymore, doing weird things. Let's get some lighter areas on his hand, and we'll go back over these things, but for now, I think you can see how that just gets a little bit lighter. This gets closer to the Gauss cannon, so also lighter. We'll make this a bit lighter here too. Now, between the fluorescent paints and the metallics, there could be some areas of the glow that just get a little bit, well, I don't want to say burnt, well, sort of burned out almost. I can turn down the camera as much as I can and turn down the lights, but still, it might get a little burned out. So I'm almost trying to think of a bit of a shadow there. Here, let's do. Oh, he has to go walk the dog. Yes, because, geez, it should be 9:36 in the morning there, I'm guessing. So have a good walk. Here's some more of our. I'll certainly still be here when you get back. Just gonna get some more of my lights here. And whether it's non-metallic, true metallic, whatever, with the object source lighting, you can see it's the very first thing that I went into. Not the last thing, not the second thing. Pretty much as soon as I possibly could, I just immediately focused on establishing that glow because it was very much necessary. You really want to do that, get that in as soon as you possibly can. There's still wet glazes on this thing, and we're already diving pretty well into our lighting effect here, because you certainly need to know, okay, how with metals, boy, even more so with metals, how light can I get with those? Just like with the object source lighting, if you have your object source lighting, if the illuminated part is darker than what's supposed to be illuminated, that's not going to make much sense. Now, I have to keep putting metal medium in here, otherwise metallic effect goes away, and we don't want that. No time to paint is in the house. How are you doing? I'm having me some fun doing object source lighting and true metallics, even though I misspelled it in the description, which I will have to remember to do after this is over. I can't really do that right now. Got my hands full of a Necron here. But what we've been doing is mixing. Where are you? There you are. The metallic medium here from Pro Acryl with transparent paints, with my fluorescent paint too. So I'm going to get those a little bit lighter. Going to do some more lighting effects over here. This certainly needs to be lighter right there on his shoulder. We certainly got to give him some glowing eyes. I mean, he wouldn't really be a Necron without glowing eyes. So, and the thing is, we will actually work back into this darker. But for now, I'm going to add some more of the metal medium here to get this lighter still. Now, as you saw, you can glaze this stuff a darker glaze, almost if it was, say, Nuln Oil or whatever. Now you say, well, I don't have those transparent paints. Well, you probably have, what are those things called? The contrast paints. That's something that I'm going to experiment with, see how that works. So essentially do the exact same thing I did here with the transparent paints, but see what happens when I use the contrast paints. Will the same thing happen? Will it be as intense? Or is it, will it'll sort of just tint the metallic? I was looking for something that would actually darn near create its own color, and that is what the transparent paints could do because of the strength and of the. All right, let's not do as much because actually there's no glow coming from right there. So little change of plan there, I guess. Getting that a little bit lighter, so you can see how we've established that glow pretty darn fast. Oh, Fruity Scone, how are you doing? Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard the True Metallic Metal Object Source Lighting Train. Yes, indeed. Here, let's get some more of our lighting on his face. So this, and you can always go back and watch these from the beginning. This was actually a glaze of the metallic medium and a couple of the transparent paints. That was just to kind of get things started, get that ball rolling. And what we've been doing since is taking the fluorescent paint with our metal medium, or metallic medium in this case. So the Vallejo stuff is called metal medium. Where the heck is that? That is around here somewhere. I got several jars of that. Maybe later on I'll dig that out so you can see it. Here, I'm going to get rid of some of the excess on this here. And what I want to do is have sort of another chain of lights. Yeah, this right up like that. Now we need to, on the opposite side over here, his hand is kind of in my way. Plus the original glazes are still actually wet in the deepest crevices there, which I find hilarious. So again, the Gauss cannon giving us a nice glow. I think I'm going to go back to my, here, let's go back to some a little bit less intense. But remember, every time you add that metal medium to it, it will lighten it just a bit. Oh, he's doing well. I hope that you're doing, I'm glad to hear that you're doing great. It's been, actually, it has been nice to just basically never leave the house and work on videos. I believe this Saturday was the first time that I have set foot outside the house in 8 days for several different reasons. And I didn't even realize that I had not even actually just stepped out the door. So I've been able to get lots of videos done, that's for sure. Whether it's a Twitch stream or a YouTube live or whatever, pretty much been averaging one of those a day. I think I don't know how many Patreon videos that I've done already this month, but it's got to be a few. I know I completed an army painting series with those Baratheons. It was kind of nice to get that one out of the way. It had been a while there. See, we're going to get some green on that. We are also going to, oh yeah, look at, got to get some more green reflections. More like OSL here. This will be tougher for you to see. It's certainly tougher for me to reach. But now you know why we focus on the lighting part of this just in the as fast as we can. Just really get into it as soon as possible. Now we're going to go back to it so you can see all those transitions of the purples and the blues. I want to do that on here too. And I think we'll carry that same freehand there also. And I think that was also done in metallic. But for right now, here, let's get some of that on here. I do think I actually need to put some of it on the spine of this here. Boy, not much. Not much, but some. Oh, no time to paint is living the dream. Oh, I am. The kids eat me out of the house and home, so I have to go shop every other day. Yeah, well, let's just say that the food choices became very minimal over that time. And now Kathy's also doing her exercise regime, well, just like my usual one too. But I know I must have probably lost a good 5 pounds or so during those 8 days, because our grocery store is just a short walk away. It's a block and a half away. So we're used to just walking over there and getting whatever we need. Sometimes I've been there 3 times a day. And to all of a sudden only go there once every 8 days, that is a whole new paradigm. But see how we trying to figure out where this little collection right there, where is that going to hit here? I can always modify it. It's not like it's a permanent thing, but then we got some more coils over here, which means, boy, can you see that? Which means I've got to get some right in here. Also working around some wet paint. As those are my original glazes there. Now you know this. I think this hopefully gives you an idea why we're doing all of this stuff sooner rather than later. And now that I've got some of my darker light color, I'm going to put some more of that, and you can see how transparent all that stuff is. Now, maybe we'll let some of that stuff dry. Let's see if we can't do this and just a bit of metal medium. Actually, make that, give it a, oh, look at that. Look at that nice dark greenish black metallic. You can see how it's reflecting now. I'm just going to spin this around so I can see it. And you will see it's not just a darker green, but it's also got a nice metallic shine to it. See that? That is a nice dark green metallic paint that I just made. See how nice that flows? There we go. And we'll throw our freehand over the top of that as well. We'll make our other line right here. Just try and get those evened out. There's going to be an outline on those anyways. Yeah, I'm going to make that just a bit thicker here. Now I gotta see, did I do it on the shoulder? Yes, I did it. Oh, I did it on one shoulder pad. We'll do it on this one, since that one's gonna get some lighting anyway. So, shoulder pad here. So we can do some of those glyphs, some of the Necron glyphs across that. There we go. Now we did talk about some darker stuff, and I'm actually going to use this, a little bit of a darker glaze like I talked about before. Let's see, the Foodie Scorn says your videos really help keep everyone involved in these times. It is definitely, yeah, we thought it would help folks just kind of not go quite so stir crazy. We figured it would be because, well, what are you going to do? You're going to binge watch every single Netflix show in the first week or two. And if you've got the kiddies there and stuff, that's going to create its own interesting effect. And then we realized, yeah, this could really be a little dose of distraction for people. So see that we switched that. We were making that lighter and lighter. Now we've got that a little bit darker here. I'm also going to do some of that where there it is. Because if you see there's some variation there. Now I also did some of the I think it was just what's that stuff called, the gloss stuff, the some of this over the top of it here. Art coat. I just threw that over. I'll keep that out there just in case. Why not? But here, what we're going to do now is actually darken some of this down. Still got the metallic paint in there. It's still somewhat transparent too because, well, we used the transparent paint. Like I said, I have not used the contrast paints in this way. Eventually, I will try that and see what happens with it. Not quite sure how that'll work. I'm going to get some of that dark over here and some of it down here. And dark is, it's all relative anyways. I mean, it's just darker. And remember, we've got more metallics to go. So you can see there's still a little bit of shine to that, but not an excessive amount of shine. Oh, I can't even thin this down. Let's make it even more of a glaze here. And that's going to go right there. So now we are truly glazing with metallics here. Yeah, look at that. It is a metallic glaze. You don't really see that every day or ever. Now I do have some other metallic things that I want to try. I've got some, I think it's some that, not Liquitex, it's Vallejo. It comes in these jars, and it's really more of a like airplane aluminum type stuff. You know, if you're trying to simulate that, almost like a more like if you're doing a Titan or something like that, and you just can almost prime the whole thing with this, and it really does make it very much a metal. See how that combines with these two. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea till I try it, so never hurts to try things. Here we're going to get some more of our, again, it's metallic, but it's got some fluorescent in there. It's got a whole bunch of fun and different things. So we played around a lot with our greens. Let's start to do some other colors of metallic here. So let's try some of this purple. Here's some of our metal medium. Now look, you can see the more of the metal medium you add, the lighter it gets. So I'm not adding any white to this. I'm actually just adding more metal medium. Oh, that's in a good spot. And there we go. See how that now starts to shift that towards a purple? I'm going to get rid of some of that excess now, and I'm just going to let that fade. It's something that we would probably call a dry glaze in effect. So, yeah, see that purple there? That is really nifty. Now on the other side, I'm going to do some of that purple down here, but we also want to have some of our blue in there too. And it is sort of, I don't want to say go back and forth, but I sort of tried different, like here. There's some of that purple. You see that? This will also get a little bit more of a metallic look to it because with each of these layers, we're putting more and more of our metal medium in there to lighten things up, so it actually gets slightly more metallic. But again, it's almost treating it as if it was some kind of a glaze. So again, we see we got that purple there in the shoulder pad, their shoulder armor, whatever. Boom. There we go. Do the same thing here. It also serves as a nice little transition point to that green that we just put there. And just over time, this gets more and more, just gets shinier, more metallic. And we can see, look at it, we can add more metal medium here. This lightens it up now. So that's not just the lights on there, that's actually the metallic paint. And now I've added some more of the metal medium to that purple. So that's getting, it's getting lighter there too. And just with each of these, each time I work my way around this, I can just keep playing around here. Let's do some of the lighter purple right here. And it's just, it's ever so slightly lighter. And all we did, just added more metal medium to it. We did not add white to it. That's why I like the transparent paints, because as soon as you start to add white to it, you're going to lose some of your transparent effect. Now we're doing a lot of stuff with the purple here. Also, don't want to forget the bluish color. So let's do some of that before we go too far. And I'm going to get a little bit of my purple in there too, just so it's not too much of a blue. So now we've got a little different color right here. And I think that's right on screen for you. And now it's got a little bit of blue. So this is where it starts to, look at that. See how that blue, that is not my glove that it's reflecting off of. That's actually just, that is the blue of the metallic. See that? Look at that. So that is your metallic blue that's doing that. So here we have some more. And it's a gentle feathered brush stroke. Gentle brush stroke there. Now let's get some of that blue over here. Look at how that just changes it. So it's color shifting without the color shift, instead of screwing around with that. Because what is the hardest thing to do with color shift paint? It's darn near impossible to get any kind of shading. So let's put some shading on here. So I'm actually taking some of the transparent black. We just mixed it with the blue. And look what just happened there. Look at how much darker that is. So yes, we can make darker colors with this. Here, let's get some shading working in here too. Same thing over here. And this is what I mean by getting yourself some of these darker metallic colors. Essentially glazing, but with the metallic paints. And we'll do stuff on his hand as well. Some darker things there too. But see how that changes? See, look at how it's from blue and then into a purple there. Now I've got, again, this is some of the darker blue here. We'll do the same thing with the purple. Let's get some that darker blue shading here. We don't want too much of it. Take some of it off the brush. And can you see it? Yeah, I think you can see it. There we go. Now we've got our purple sitting over here. Let's see if we can do this and have these two sort of blend together a bit. Yeah, look at that. So we just did some wet into wet blending of our homemade metallic paints. How fun is that? How fun is that? I said, I never thought that was going to be possible. Never thought I could be able to do this. Look at that. color changey type stuff. We haven't even thrown in any of our greens in there. We are, however, going to start to work in some lighter color. See it right there? That all I did was I just put more metal medium into that, and it got lighter. And now we need to start to think about reflected light down here. So look at, so say that spine now has a transition on it. Let's start to think about his head here, get some lighter stuff working there on the tops of his shoulders. And let's start thinking about his arm here. You know what? I'm so tempted to, yeah, I'm gonna actually switch over here to back to this blue, which was fun. We don't have any really light blue here, so there we go. Let's make that even lighter. Look at that, just we keep adding more metal medium to it, and it just gets lighter. And look at that, we just see how shiny that is, but it has some blue to it. That is the critical thing to keep in mind. And I might make those glowing green as well. This is all the same stuff that we would do with non-metallic, but we're just doing it with metallic paint. That's why it's called True Metallic Metals. And again, I misspelled it on the description, so I apologize for that. But here, look at this. So we're going to get some of our lighter blue, maybe not that light. I'm going to change this over. So I just put a couple brush strokes in there, and boom, there we go. I'm going to get rid of some of this extra. It's almost a little bit like the oil paint approach. So what should happen is that's a little more blue, and then it starts to turn a little more purple as you go that way. And now, like over here, so I'm going to shift that even more towards a lighter blue. To me, this is where it really starts to get very fun, because the possibilities are sort of endless. They really are. Again, we had the purple there, now we've got our lighter blue next to it. I'm going to change this screen over here a little bit so I can make sure I still get my chat. So 1 second here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be changing the focus and stuff quite as much as I usually do. Now this is even that much later. I'm just going to do it on this side, and then you can get a chance to see how much lighter that can be. So in effect, your lightest color in this whole deal now becomes your metal medium. That's as light as you can go. So once you're at 100% metal medium, you're at 100% light. If you start adding white to it, and I've tried, the whole thing starts to fail. The metal medium doesn't really like that white very much. You kind of have to let the metal medium be the white. So here on the top of the shoulder over here, you can see how this really does change the appearance around so much. Just a few little brush strokes, that's all it takes. And again, see how that shifts around there, the purple, the blue. Let's see if we can't get some maybe more intense purple out of this here. And we're going to go along the edge here. And then we're just going to gently work that in. So I'm going to even take away some of the excess paint, just like I would with the oils. And what should happen, see how that transits from the purple to the blue? Look at that. Again, it's no fuss color shifting. It's about the best I can describe that. So let me make this even a little bit darker in some places here. that is the true magic of these things, is you can actually make darker and lighter metallic colors. That is just such a pain in the backside to do any kind of shading with metallics, and this completely shifts that paradigm, changes it totally. So we need some lights over here, and I'm not going to take long for those to show up. Not very long at all. Again, that reflected light down there. Now we've done an awful... Yeah, let's go actually darker. Blueness. So see how much blue there is there? And then it sort of goes to a purple. But it's also darker, and it makes my green show up a bit more. And then, where's my purple? Here it is. A little more metal medium in there. And see how that just has a hint of purple to it? Get more shifting here. I can even use my finger to push that around. So I think, yeah, see how that there's purple, there's blue. It shifts and changes around as you move him. I just really love how it does that. Now we've got to do some other stuff here besides just the green. There we go. Now I also, you know what, I'm going to get some of that transparent brown back out here. Throw that over here, and yeah. Again, some metal medium in here. Let's do something a little different with the chest plate there, so that it's not only just the green. There's something else there, maybe even two on his arms. And also here on the spine. Now, the Creature Caster metallic paints, I've used them on terrain. They're actually really nice. They're I think it's called white gold is a really neat one. All of their metallics are neat, but and they airbrush really great. But it's that age old thing of, well, I'd like to have the control over the lightness and darkness. And you can see in just a second here. So we're on the Gauss cannon again. But look at the translucency that I get here with the metallics. And I can get now lighter. All I have to do again, just mixing some more of that metal medium in there. And now you can see we start to create a little bit of lighter tone right here on the end of the cannon. You know what? Just to play around with that, it's almost going to be a bit more golden here. And oh yeah, the transparent yellow and the metal medium together make a fantastic gold. Boy, I used that on that Lannister. That was one of the... Where did he go? There you are. So again, this was the latest Dark Sword tutorial on the Patreon page, and lots of gold on him. That was very fun. Now, a little more of the metal medium in here. Got working on the spine here. I'm starting to get some lighter things there. And that's you can get your really nice rich darks with your metallics now. Or lights. Now, do I want to add... I was thinking of adding a little bit of orange here. So here's some transparent orange. Let's find a little place for you to be, like over here. so that I can make this a little more reddish. There we go. So I'm back to my metal medium here. So now look at this, I've got a nice metallic orange here. Oh, sorry, I'm going to get back to my chat here. Oh, he is back from walking the dog. Yeah, well, can you see the shifting of the purples and the blues and everything else? That is just, and now we're starting to add some basically metallic orange here into the spine area here. I just absolutely can't get over the array of colors now that I have with metals. It all started with bolt action, believe it or not, because I needed to have that blackened steel effect for, well, guess what, rifles, machine guns. And I just took some of the Reaper blue liner and I mixed that up with the metal medium. Just, I thought, well, what do I got to lose? Sure enough, I really liked it. Man, did I like that. And that it just kind of went into the memory banks, yeah, whatever. And then there came a point where I tried it on some other figures and I said, "Ooh, there's something going on here. This could work. This really has something happening." Yeah, let's get some of that orange onto here. Now, the biggest downside to all the metallic stuff is it's really hard to film. Well, it's hard to shoot with your camera. There's a reason why the non-metallic stuff was used for an awful lot of box art, because it's so much easier to photograph, as in like immensely easier to photograph. What I am trying to do now, as you can see, we got a little bit of a, just like we did the chain of lights there with the green, which we're going to revisit, but we wanted to get in some of our golds first and other colors. We can still go way brighter with this. I'm still nowhere near full-on metal medium. And as I just said a couple minutes ago, let's see, the way you apply it looks so easy as well. You know what? This actually helps the big old brush. And I know I say that a lot too. When you've got a little tiny brush, you're just going to be prone to little tiny, like those spotter brushes, right? You're just going to use little tiny strokes instead of much broader ones like this here. I'm actually using the side of the brush to basically make the tip bigger. And you can see how this starts to actually get a little bit, what would you say, scorched. Now let's grab, this is a transparent black, and so this has none of the metal medium in it. But what I'm going to do is put some, I could use weathering powders for this too. But now we have a bit of scorching here over our metallic paints, and because there's not metallic in there, it'll have not just be darker, but now it also takes away some of the shine, pretty much in the way weathering powders would. So there we go, we got ourselves some nice scorching on the end of that. And these are, here, I'll show you, they come in all shapes and sizes. This just happens to be this pack of 12 of them, so it's $5. The handles are gray, but it's the same thing. There's also these guys here, and people have seen me use these before. This was an interesting pack. So size 10, it came in 12, 8, 10, and I think 6 was the smallest one. So that was pretty neat, having that. Now let's get some more. I'm going to get some more lighter blue in a couple of places here. Certainly top of his head. And the thing with the metals too is if you just stop seeing any kind of shading, then you have to go the other way. You actually have to start adding some darks. And we'll certainly do that too. And I gotta think reflected light here. But again, when you start seeing things get lighter, sometimes you just have to then go darker. And we will take some of this black here. And we're mixing in, that's our original blend that we did there. And see what happened just down, look at that. That just created a bit more shading right there. Oh, let's get some separation here, but it's dark, but it is still actually on the transparent side. We're going to do another little stripe right there. Aha. So you can check out these here. This was one of the first times I used the metal medium, and you can see all the purples and the blues. And actually, I've got to start getting some figures and do some spacescapes on them too, because people have been asking about that forever. I just want to get around to doing that. I want to give myself some more, a little bit more of an intense dark there, some more shading there. And I think I'm gonna work in some dark. I will use a smaller brush sometimes though. Here, let's get some of our black there. I need to get down into these vents. It also lets me know just how dark are my metals, because well, just like you can't get any lighter than your metal medium, you can't really get any darker than the transparent black. So both of those are handy information. So next thing I actually will do is some of the freehand here, just as a change of pace. I'm just trying to fill those in. Some darks there, some darks there. And even, this is some of my original stuff here. So I can take that, wipe some of it away. Let's get a little bit of shading onto that. Maybe a little less of the green there, because just sees how far that Gauss cannon can reach. Now I want to, for the heck of it, on his head right here. So I want that to be a bit darker for a couple of reasons. It's also it'll help my glow show up that much better. But almost think of it as, I don't want to say rusting it or aging it, but think of it almost as a bit of weathering. That's going to go in here. So we're actually sort of weathering with metallics. How does that sound? Now we're going to do some of that freehand that I was talking about. And that means some of that transparent orange there, maybe a touch of the yellow. And I'm going to look at my lines on the other one, and now let's... All right, so we got 2 lines, 1 on either side. And I just want to get these in place. If I need some more of my off-white to make that more opaque, then so be it. And that, I had to get enough of my blue and purple in there together before I could do something like that. Get our other line over here. And yes, it's freehand with a 25-cent craft brush. Oh yeah, that I definitely have to. I think some Stormcast Eternals, right? Got to get some Eldar stuff. That's always a good candidate for such things. I'll use the synth. Yeah, I use the Oh, geez, yeah. Well, I use the synthetics because, well, they can take way more punishment. You can check out some of the other YouTube videos and such. You'll see me using these the vast majority of the time. Well, all of a sudden now, those natural hair brushes that are very squishy by comparison, well, those last a whole lot longer because I'm letting my, well, cheap, nasty craft brushes take all the actual punishment. But you can see they can perform a lot of functions. There we go. And yeah, we just did a whole bunch of nifty little lines right here. And I'm actually going to mix just a touch of the metal medium in there too. We'll get some lighter areas in this right here, I would say. And here. There we go. Now in the army painting series on the Necrons that I showed you, I was actually using mostly Green Stuff World metallics there. And they also have a metallic medium, which I actually learned in the course of making that series. But they have a lot of really nifty metal colors. I've also got TMM with some of the Turbo Dork paints. Now I am going to grab even more of that metal medium there with the idea of lightening up a few of these areas. Again, along the spine. And then the idea is to mimic what's on the bases there, right onto here. So we can get ourselves a smaller brush. This is again why I like to do most of that bulk work. Sorry, with the big nasty brushes. All right, is this where you can see it? I think so. I'm pretty newish to the hobby. Used to paint Lord of the Rings minis as a 13-year-old. Well, actually, I just did a Twitch session. So actually, if you want to join me on Twitch, you can do that too. Just Wappelius at Twitch, same as my Instagram handle there. I just painted Rohan Cavalry with oil paints last night. That was fun. And actually, check out some of the other live sessions because I've got Theoden, Eowyn, Erkenbrand, got a whole bunch of Lord of the Rings figures. Because, well, that's aside from Bolt Action, that's my favorite game system. So now I think this was, yeah, it's basically a triangle here with some circles on the end, like this. And remember, this was not long ago. Let's see, how long have we been doing this? Basically an hour ago. So I bought a Winsor Newton Series 7 2 weeks ago. It holds more paint in the bristle. They are softer, but as a person who did a lot of oil painting and acrylics, well, I got used to filbert brushes and basically a harder brush, a much stiffer brush. So to me, that's actually more valuable is that stiffer bristle. Now I've got a line with a circle next. I'm just holding my breath here sometimes too, so if you don't hear any sounds, that's not me turning off my microphone. That's just me doing a little breath holding. We are going to also highlight this some more too. We're just sort of sketching things out right now. So this has 2 circles and a line there. And then we've got a little bit of a diamond shape here. Some lines out of that. Kind of typical Necron-y stuff. That's a highly technical term right there, Necron-y. Now, if you check out the blog, which is also scrolling across, that's got my Tomb Kings, and that was where I actually used, well, a lot of the same stuff here. I wish I could have actually maybe tried the True Metallics on that. That could have been very fun. But there's about 100 and some odd posts about my Tomb Kings army on the blog. That's actually where I learned a whole bunch of the painting techniques that I've done in my videos. But the natural bristles, that part of it is people keep being told, well, that's natural bristles or bust. If everything else is you know what. Well, actually that's not really the case. You can do an awful lot with those synthetic brushes and they last longer. They are just tougher. That's how it is. They can really take a beating, and when I do, well, like at Adepticon, I was supposed to do classes, and one of them was going to be a basing class, and I would have told them, look, here, you take those brushes that you just put all that glue and sand and everything else and gravel in, and get those into some rubbing alcohol because you're going to be using those to paint with tomorrow. And none of them believed me. And I left some of the oxide paste, which has a distinctive red color in it, so that they would know yes, indeed, they were actually using brushes that had super glue and Elmer's glue and everything else in them just the day before. Now what I can do is, so I just make those a solid circle for right now, and then it's just easier to go back in and make those, put a little bit of green in the ends of those. So we got that, and then one more little circle symbol down here. See, we're just sort of sketching that in with the brush. Then we got to do some on his shoulder pad too. Oh, I never got to play the Lord of the Rings game. Oh, yeah, that the language thing, definitely not easy. Now, of course, my wife is learning Dutch. She's been practicing that for months now, and she'll get tested on her live streams for her pronunciation. I think they've been really challenging her on her pronunciation of her numbers. And we've actually tried to find some of the Dutch murder mysteries. I know Tatort was one that she had watched many times. And unfortunately, now we don't get to watch it anymore because that network doesn't exist that was playing those. But now, who knows? Well, it's always harder to understand another language when it is spoken. It's so much easier just to read it, because I was able to actually read and write French at one point, but I could never speak it, and I could never understand it when someone spoke it to me for whatever reason. So here, see how we're starting to lighten that up. So now it has a little light to dark thing going on there. But you can also start to see a texture difference. Uh, Dutch is different with the G sound. Well, I just call it the Klingon, where she has to make the Klingon sound. Oh, what's the Klingon? The Gach, right? That the guttural G's and some of the rolling of the, not rolling of the R's, but you have to roll your tongue on some of the pronunciations. That is not the easiest thing. Not very easy at all. Don't mind me talking about Dutch here while I just see, I'm trying to add some lighter colors here onto my freehand design. It's just the usual kind of Necron glyphs. Nothing super fancy. Some more of my lighter stuff here. And you can see at a certain point we kind of transition from the basically the massive fireworks brush to some smaller things, smaller brushes, finer bristles. Here, let's lighten this one up here too. There we go. But all of that bulk work done. But well, I'm always working on units too. This is a really unusual thing here where I'm just working on one. That's kind of why I started doing the Twitch stuff, because there I can actually work more on multiple figures, whereas the YouTube live, it's best to work on one figure and just focus in on that. Yeah, let's get a little bit more of a lighter color into our freehand there. We'll go back in. We can always modify things, clean things up. Oh, hey, Daniel, how's it going? Yeah, sorry, I'm not using my usual Reaper clear and liner paints here. Oh yeah, that's what this was. Where is that thing again? So this was actually the Reaper clear paints mixed with the Vallejo metal medium. And that was, you can see again, we got that kind of color shifting thing going on. The Reaper clear paints very much like the transparent. I love those. I love me my Reaper clears, that's for sure. Because, well, they're not really clear paint, but they're really nice, intense colors. So, yeah, looking for some. Now, at this point, I can start to think about some targeted highlights here. And then we're going to get back into our object source lighting. And there's still a little bit of color in there. It's not just straight up metal medium. It's close. It's close. But now let's shift our attention back over here into our green. So we'll start to really lighten up our fluorescent paint here. Here, let's get some more of our green back into that. I'm also going to put some more of the metal medium out here, like you do. And we're going to mix those together. Again, that's the fluorescent paint, that's the metal medium. That is a little touch of off-white in there, because we want to start to get this a little lighter, some highlights in places, just like we did elsewhere. And I always want to leave myself a little wiggle room when you start to add these lighter colors here, but they're still metallic. That is the most important thing to keep in mind, is to always keep injecting that metal medium into it. So we're trying to see that little bit of an energy wave right there. Again, that is partially formed with the metal medium, the fluorescent paint, all mixed together. There, kind of a nice little squiggly line right there. Now let's see if we can get some nice little bit of some lights in here. We'll do some of that glazing over the top of it as well. Now that we've got our finer brush out here, we're also going to start to think about the eyes and getting some bright stuff on them. But I also want to get the hand a little bit more firmed up here, get some decent highlights on that. And I'm also thinking these might just need to be glowing green too. Now let's get some of this onto the chest plate. We're going to need that. Oh, Dante loves mixing the fluorescent paints. And it's really fun because it's not just for object source lighting. Now people think I only use it for that, but when I do non-metallic golds, my favorite thing is to mix something like a fluorescent orange with a purple, and it makes the most incredible kind of sepia type color, but just it gives it that extra kick. When I do I've got a bunch of Rubik Marines, and well, some of them will be sort of that classic blue, right, of the Thousand Suns. But if I combine that with the fluorescent blue, those blues are going to be that much more intense. So see, we're just using our fluorescent paint mixed with the metallic for his eye. Now his eye has some glow to it. And I can still go lighter than this. This is not as light as I can possibly go. Always trying to leave myself a little bit of space. There we go. And now that we've got this a little bit more established here, I'll take you to some of the... So this was, again, Army Painting Series. You can see how that translates to all of the troops there. We've got, I think it was an Immortal over there. We've got your regular, you got your Necron Lord in the background. So again, some closer things. You can see the blues, the purple, all those same transitions that we're doing here. And then again, I tried to do it on as many different figures as I could, so you could see how that worked instead of just doing it only on the troops. That's what all my Army Painting series are about, trying to maximize. Because, yeah, okay, show you how to do it on Necron troops. Well, then what about a destroyer? Well, then what about this type of thing? What about that? So I try to think of it in terms of, well, maybe not 30 figures in an army, because do you really need to see the same figure painted 12 times or 20 times? What's more helpful is to actually see, well, how do I paint this one part of my unit? The other thing that happens is I keep track of how much time is being spent on all the different effects, because okay, that base that I showed you here, let's not move our camera too much. We timed how long it took to do each of those bases, because is it something that you want to do? You want to go this elaborate on your bases for your whole army? I guess that's a question. And we time everything and say, all right, that took 20 minutes. If you've got 30 things to do, would you maybe just save that for a sergeant, a champion, whatever, a general, instead of maybe trying to do that across the entire army and lose your mind, or never have it done in your lifetime? So I want to go back into some of my, I'm going to actually take a little bit of the purple there. I'm going to go back into some of the metal medium. I need some darks in here. I just need to turn this thing around so I can get a good little brush stroke on that. There we go. Because we've got plenty of lights in place. We now need some dark, and that's going to take the form of this sort of a dark blue here. And now we're going to shift the other way. We're going to go lighter again. And we're going to do this on his arm. Again, looking to create those, for lack of a better term, they're almost like these little stripes that happen. Just alternating bits of lights and darks. So you can see that gets a little bit lighter now. And again, the metal medium, that's going to be your white. That is it. That's as light as you can go. So once you've gone as light as you can go, you have to go the other way and start making it darker again. That's really not all that different from just regular painting. Because as soon as you, and I was doing this with the oil painting demo last night, it's, if all of a sudden it's just not letting you put any more paint there, or no matter how light you go, it makes no difference, well, then you just got to go dark. And that's what we'll do here with the purple. Boom, right there. So it does a couple of things. It gives me some shading there, but it also now is shifting that color. So you can see how it becomes more purple right there. That's good. Let's start to add a few more dark. I'm going to get a little more of the metal medium in there too. But right there, yeah. There's another area that I want to get some of the purples, because we got plenty of the blue. Yeah, lots of blue. Now we're going to do some darker purples here. And this is really dark. It's about as dark as I can make that purple. I suppose I could mix some transparent black with it, see if I can make it a little bit darker even. Oh yeah, that can be a little bit darker. I'll use some of that here on his spine. And then in between the segments, let's get some darker colors on his head here. And maybe some of that here just to show, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna push the dark here a little bit so that that actually shows up some more. So we've got our sort of weathering that happened over there. Gonna start to get some of my darker metal tones out here too. And I can still, like I said, I have not gone as bright as I can. Look at that. So I can still make that lighter and make this that much lighter, but only in certain segments here. Not everywhere, just a few squiggles here and there. Gives it that crackly energy. I'm not going to put the gloss on this yet because, oh my gosh, the camera's just going to go crazy when that stuff goes on there. That was just, all I did was throw some art coat on it. It was nothing fancy. Now, I'm gonna try and, oh, Engineered to Draw is in the house. Enjoy the oil Rohan paint on Twitch. You're gonna put it up on YouTube. Well, now I think no matter what, I can download the video, but it was supposed to record in an MP4 because for whatever reason, Twitch records in this weird FTV format or something like that. So I'm hoping that that recorded, and the idea is turn it into a YouTube video because, well, in about 13, well, no, 12 and a half days, it goes away. Twitch will just take it down. So I'm hoping that that's a way to archive. I don't know when I'll ever get to the Twitch status of where it saves those VODs for me. I don't ever remember. There's the affiliate thing, there's partner, there's this, there's that. I don't remember which level you need to be at to be able to get your videos saved. So hopefully, I'm hoping that that was actually saved to the hard drive and I can, like this right now, it's recording this to the hard drive. So I could turn this into a video if I wanted to, but it's kind of already up on YouTube. I'd just be replicating it for no good reason. Here, let's get ourselves a bit of the fluorescent light here along this edge. It needs it. There we go. And I think I'll probably have to do one on the bottom edge too. And then I got to do the coils. So just bear with me. Oh, and Dan says how fast this thing goes. Let's see, what are we? We're basically an hour and 25 minutes into it because, well, I've spent lots of time talking about the paints and everything else. But that's the magic of those bigger brushes. They keep you disciplined. They don't let you fool around, at least not right away, in little stuff. Little stuff that doesn't matter. Because I'll see people do that. They'll get attracted to an area and they'll just keep going away at that one spot. And then they realize hours later they've painted a face. But with this, the key is to paint everything all at once, the whole thing. See, the object source sledding, we put that in as soon as we could. Yeah, let's get some more of our light into these coils here, if that's possible. Now, how did I do this? I don't know. Okay, so we went light over the top. We'll just do that. I kind of like to have the coils be lighter in the underneath part, but we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way here. Is there another? Yeah, there is another coil there. Just got to make sure that I have some of this metal medium mixed into this. Otherwise, it just will look weird. It'll be flat. Now, this will be interesting. I got to get to my coils here, but also not hit the shoulder. So bear with me while I do that. Yeah, let's move around here. So let's get some of this less bright green. And we're just going to hit a couple of these coils, and then I'm going to have to look at the underside of that arm and see how much of this needs to be reflected over there. I know you can't see that terribly well. Well, we've got some here. But we need some more. Oh gosh, we need to reflect this on his arm. So, boom, right there. Oh, and right there too. We'll get some of that reflected onto. Get more on his arm. We're going to lighten this up here now, because that's awful darn close to it to not have any reflected light whatsoever. That's better. Oh, I got to get down here, like inside his chest. But once again, metal medium there. Have to put that metal medium, or it's just not going to translate the way it should. And now, got to get some of this on his spine here, in the form of one of these lines. It just kind of goes straight up here. Some of that green reflected there, because if it's going to be shiny metal, we really need to be reflecting this green. As much as possible. And now we're going to take some of just a straight up metal medium. I'm just going to move my water here. That's all it is. It's just water, nothing else. And, oh good, you can see that. Now we've got to, like we did on the other side, get the tops of these bits of his spine here. And I can see I will have to actually go back in with some darker tones. But first, I've got to actually hit this with some fluorescent over here. Some over here. there's just glowing stuff everywhere on this, which is kind of neat, but also can drive you a little crazy too. Always have to be aware. All right, look in front. Oh yeah, so the glow should definitely hit over here. But wait, this should almost cast a shadow over here. We need some more of this brighter metal glue over here. Yeah, I'm just gonna catch some highlights there. And because I've got everything sitting out here for me on the palette, I can just reach in, grab some. We'll do that little bit of a line there. Again, that horizontal line. Gotta be thinking about those all the time. Here, we'll make this a little bit brighter of a green down in there. And I'm going to go, even if I can, try and go a little bit lighter on some of these coils here, if I can. Again, tough to reach with where that shoulder is, but I think I can do it. And we'll do the same over here. And then this is where we can take our transparent green, and again, that's the Pro Acryl transparent green. See if I can get some separation now. Almost be a bit of a semi-glaze here. Yeah, down into the crevice of that. Gives it more of a, because the transparent green is so intense, even though that's a darker color, it just has a little more life to it. It was just kind of just dark and dead and not really much going on. So that's a little better. I'm also going to take some metal medium into that, some more metal medium into that. And I'll try and get some of that also onto this part. So it's semi color shift here where it's a little bit away from that yellowish green and a bit more towards a kind of a bluish green in a way. And I've got to get that way down in here for some more reflections. Even going to let that, yeah, that should, sorry, that's got to hit here too. There we go. So we really have done some nifty color shifting of stuff. Now get me something to drink here real quick. Just give me a second. Hopefully that wasn't making too much sound in your ear. But I could just tell my voice was getting a little bit gravelly there. Now, it's not really the most fun, dramatic part of the figure, but I got to get some of this more bluish green down here. But it's got the metal medium in there, so it still has that metallic look to it. I'm going to get some down here. Some over here. Even over here too. Can you even see that? It's kind of blocked by the Gauss cannon. Can you now? No, it's kind of blocked by his hand. So sorry, but I'm just getting some of this sort of more of a turquoise green here into a few areas there. Let's see if I can't. There we go. I think that's a little there. So we have even a little bit of a change of pace on some of the greens. Now what I'm going to do here, we'll mix some yellow. That's the transparent yellow and the green. That's sort of a nice dark. We'll mix our metal medium with that. Sorry about that. It's been cold enough here to make the heater keep going off, and that's drying out the air. And then it rains a bunch, so there's no way we can have humidifiers going because one day it's too dry, the next day it's way too wet. But see how that green is a little bit different. It's got that yellow to it. So we got the bluish green. Now we're into more of a yellowish green. And we're just going to put a little bit more of a glaze over some of these things here. Just real quick. But that has the metal medium in it. So it is actually, it's essentially, for all intents and purposes, a metallic glaze. Yes, you can do that with the metallic paints or that metal medium. And again, that is right there from Pro Acryl. Oh, Dan asks, are we in Chicago? Yes, we are down on the south side. Down on the south side, been here basically my whole life. All right, we need to get some more green reflections in here. Can you even see that? I think you can. Reaching down, gonna hit some of that right. Oh yeah, get some of that right there. I've actually done a lot of moving of furniture here in the studio over the last week and a half just because of several different things. I'm trying to make this space even more functional, and hopefully that has worked, especially because, well, between the Patreon page and everything else, I've just got basically every single day I'm either doing a live session or filming multiple videos. So, you know, I'm going to carry this green even further here. It's going to be hard to necessarily tell, but aha, see that? See how there's some green in there? Ah, just north of Milwaukee. Well, I guess I'll just say howdy neighbor. Yeah, I think the last. Oh, what's the one big Warhammer tournament that folks did up there? Is that's not Rampage or Midwest Rampage? Maybe is that the one that took place in Wisconsin? Has to be one of those. Now I'm gonna also do this to. Yeah, see how that makes that green a little bit more of a glowing type color there. So you see we got more of a bluish green, this more of a yellow green. And again, the color shifting there of the blue and the purple, we're going to get back into that pretty soon here. But I'm just, yeah, I saw here I had some glow that had too much of a glow to it. I had to tone some of that down. Especially here, yeah. The glow on the face was every bit as intense as the glow that was basically right next to the Gauss cannon. We don't want that. There we go. But always keep in mind, you gotta make that metal medium and mix it. So this is still a metallic, but every time you mix metal medium in there, you are going to lighten it. That's just kind of the weird thing about it. All right, we're going to get ourselves again some more of this. I want to get some over here too, but it's a darker green. See, we're letting that go into that bronze that we made there. I think, yeah, we'll let a little bit of that green get up onto the top of his head there. Yeah, let's knock that down a little. All right, so I think we've got that stuff pretty well knocked down. Let's do a few more bits of darker shading. And also trying to make this a little more metallic. So see that? That's not just a brighter green, but it's also got a little more of the metal medium in there. A little bit more of the metal medium. Aha, that also, yeah. I think, well, yeah, we'll throw a little bit of that here too. But I want to get back to my, here, let's get a, I'm going to get some more of the metal medium out here. Again, has an agitator in there. You definitely want to shake up your metal medium there. Put some more of this out here because I want to place some more with the blues and the purples out here. There we go. Look at how intense that blue is. See, it's a little bit lighter over here. Ah, there we go. Because I don't want just a big expanse of the same color of metallic blue. And see how that changes? Look at that. See that little bit of a change right there? But the thing is, you gotta be light with this brush stroke because we don't want to cover up everything that came before. We're just, see that? Look at what that does. Now, I add a little more metal medium to that. And now we'll make that just slightly a bit lighter there. And it's how that just sort of transitions from the blue to the purple. I'm going to try and get some of that blue into his top of his head, some of it on his shoulder pad here. But always keep in mind that it's translucent. It's not just going to cover. Now we want some of that over here too, so you can see that how that color shifts, and now it's going to give us another shift into an even brighter blue. So from that deeper purple into something that's more like a blue. Now just sort of wipe away some of the excess on the brush, and then we'll just sort of feather that outwards here. It just gives it a little bit more of an alien, kind of a mysterious, yeah, see, look at that transition from the blue to the purple. Now, if you do sign up for the Army Painting series, you get way more than just the Necron series. You'll get all kinds of oil painting. I think I've got 5 series now that involve oil painting. We got War Cry stuff, Lord of the Rings, Song of Ice and Fire, tons of stuff. And if you do the Army Painting Pledge, you'll be occupied because you're going to get well over 400 hours of video links. And you can watch and paint minis to your heart's content. And we just make this a little bit lighter. So a lot of the things I do for the Patreon videos is me trying to new materials, new techniques for basing, for object source lighting, freehand, you name it. And it's not stuff that I've practiced. I mean, this is exactly the second time that I've tried painting a destroyer like this, and it's the first time I've used these paints to do it. The last time, which was the first time trying to paint any Necron Destroyer in anything besides non-metallic metals, well, and that was also a while ago. That was for the Patreon page because, again, I'm trying to keep it just as real as possible, where I'm kind of almost learning right alongside you guys. Because I just remember my art school days when I would see something that was clearly practiced many, many times. And I'd say, well, of course that worked. Because if you knocked him unconscious, it would probably still be able to do it. Now, I'm going to go over here with some of my purple. Let's see if we can do a light purple here. Where am I at over here? I don't want to lose the reddishness of that, but I also want to get a little bit of yeah. Just trying to make right along this edge here. Again, this is where NMM is introduced into TMM. So it's your non-metallic metals, but we're trying to do a little bit of true metallic metal effect here. I'm going to swing this around. We'll do the same on this side now. Now the surface on this here is kind of a rough surface because I did not assemble these. These are just rescues basically. So there's definitely, I had to sand the heck out of these things to get the old paint off of them and everything else. So they were definitely on the rougher side. At some point I'll try and get some new Necron figures instead of these old ones here that were never really assembled very well. We're not going to bother with the bottom of that thing because, well, you can't see it for one thing very well. And I just won't have time to get into that too. I'm going to get a little bit lighter here with the purple. And there. Now, we'll kind of go the opposite way here. We've got, look at that wild, really dark purple. It's there now. We'll put this next to our highlight there, but it's still a metallic paint. That is still metallic. We're going to throw some of that over here maybe. Just like so. We'll take some of it away. And you can see how that starts to work its way in. We're just blending that in. It's almost like it's oil paint. So see how that shifts again? It's a whole different type of purple there. It's not just darker, it's also warmer. I'm going to put some of that over here, which will then take some of that light that I just put there and enhance that. So see how that transitions again into that blue? I know the lights kind of make everything crazy, but I'm going to get some of that darker purple into this too. And let's do some on the flanks of these vents right here. There's even some blue metallic still in the brush. Oh, now just real quick here. Just bear with me while I just hit the bottom of these while I've got this going. And then, yeah, I'll just transition into that. That helps. We are going to do some of this up here too. There it is. It's just where did my purple go? I need once more to establish a bit more of a transition here. This is something I would do if this was non-metallic paints. So I've got to do that here. It's going to enhance the reflected light down here. And it's just this beautiful dark metallic purple. Now, Turbo Dork makes some really nice metallic paints. The Green Stuff World metallics are also very nice. Creature Caster, they have metallic paints too, but they're your typical gold, bronze, silver. The Green Stuff World and Turbo Dork paints, well, they're color shift too, but the neat thing is that some of them are red, some of them are purple, some of them are green. But you got metal medium, you've got every color becomes a metallic color. It really does. No kidding. That is just the neatest thing about it. And this is another thing. I can look at this dark that I can add right here. So it's not just purple, it's also a nice dark. A really nice deep dark. Maybe I'll throw a little more of that here too, just on this edge. So I think I'm able to actually do a little bit more with this than the previous one because, well, I was just trying this all out for the first time on that other one. I had no idea what was going to happen. But now that I've done this a few times, there's just nothing, no substitute for, well, for practice. That's just kind of how it is. You have to be able to practice constantly. And I throw a little purple into some of those things too. Let's get this even. I can't make this a little bit of a stronger dark in here. See, I don't really think I did this on the first one. I didn't really know how to do that. And I think, see, yeah. See, since then I've learned a thing or two about doing the TMM, especially with the metal medium. So we're back into that blue that's a little bit lighter now. And now we'll get ourselves a lighter striation in here. We need some reflected light here. No wonder, saying, what's going on with this? It's because there's no reflected light. That helps to solve that issue. We need some more reflected lights over here too. We'll fade this out, make that more extended. And this is about, again, as light as I can go. This is basically straight up metal medium. You just can't get any lighter than that. It essentially becomes your white, basically. And let's see if we can't do the same thing that we did with the purple, but we'll do that with the blue. We got a nice deep, rich, dark blue there. There. Look at what that does. And now I've almost got, in a way, sort of a de facto kind of blending brush here. So that was purple on that. Now, see it transfers over into some blue over here. Let's try and do some of that over here. Yeah, just, there we go. I wanted just a little hint of it right there, not a whole bunch. Just a little hint of it right there so that, see how it turns into that blue like so. But now we gotta get ourselves some more of the reflected light there. And here too, it's if you want shiny stuff, you've got to have plenty of reflected light. And you have to always be aware of, well, okay, always gotta have that sort of chain of highlights. Where is my area went? Here's my darker blue again. Again, along his spine. So we got the purple there now. Right next to it, we'll put some of that darker blue. And that's a bluish metallic. We're going to put some of that bluish metallic over here too. Where'd you go? There you are. A little line of it over here. See what I just on his arm right there? So some there. Now we also have these things on the back of his hand. Let's see if we can't make those a little bit more greenish. And even, I think, throw some of that on his fingers. Even a little touch of green out there. Why not? Little touch of green out there. Now you can also too sometimes, like here, just not much of a metal effect. You can't see it. I'm just gonna throw that over the top. It's so transparent, see? Just right over the top. And no time to paint. Loves how the same effect of the color shift, but completely controlled. It's the control. It's so much easier to deal with. I love the color shift paints. They're really neat, but boy, how do you get lights and darks? How do you do what we're doing here? I mean, just the absolute complete control over this, and to be able to get the shading in here. It's impossible to do it. And there is no such thing as a darn near a black color shift, because I just took some of the transparent black. Can you see that? There we go. So it's almost black right there, but it still is metallic paint. And yeah, I know you can take, say, the primer or whatever, black primer, and you just leave it more of the primer show through or whatever, but to me, this is just so much more control. So much easier to deal with. So I can even make that a little bit even more dark there. And it also means you don't need all those, you don't need any more jars of paint. All you need is one. You get the metal medium, that's it. Because your entire paint line becomes metallics now. So, and I don't mean to say you should never get color shifts or anything like that, but when you haven't, most people have like the entire paint collection of 3 different paint lines. What if you could turn most of those regular paints into metallics? You could probably do a whole lot of damage with those. Now, again, reflected light. Always thinking reflected light. If it's important in non-metallic metals, geez, it might even be more important with the TMM, because it's that much more challenging to get the effect. And I'll bring him back out here real quick. This is the latest Dark Sword Patreon figure right here. And you can see where we've reflected the reds. See it right there on the back of his leg there. And over here, see that red reflection? That is not the red of the cloak reflecting on silver metallic paint. That's actual, quite literally, red paint there. So it's actually reflected. There is something there besides just the red paint reflecting off of silver. There is more to it than just that. And that's the fun thing that this will let you do. And it certainly is fun. Now I've got to work some, speaking of lighter metallics, we're going to put some of that into here. Yeah. And here too. Now I do wish it was a little easier to get this stuff on camera and film it. That's always going to be a challenge. It's the nature of the beast with this stuff. It's just kind of how that goes. It is not the easiest to get on camera. And believe me, I really go through hoops with the lights and everything else to try and make it more visible for you. Get some more segments there. Maybe even darken these down. Again, this is still metallic paint. Look at how dark this is. It's a very dark bluish black. Then I'm also going to throw over here too. Now we're going to go back into this. So this was a really nifty, this was the orange here and the metal medium combined. So we now have a nice sort of a metallic orange there. And now we shift that just slightly away from the purple there. And I'm even going to, again, to show you that you can sort of do a bit of glazing with your metallic. That's what we're going to do right here, is a bit of glazing over the freehand that we did to make that darker in some of these areas. Oh, let's do some more over here. Like so. Let's do some of that on his shoulder here. It can be tricky to figure out just how dark or light it is. Oh, Casnigri, painting a first army. Well, we were overwhelmed too. We were painting Blood Bowl teams when we first started doing this 20 years ago. And oh my goodness, it took me just working the entire day and nothing else but the Blood Bowl team. It took me weeks to just paint one Blood Bowl team. And now when I think of what I can do, so here, see how we just added that again, that's a metallic orange right there. We can make it even lighter if we want, but still metallic. That is what I try and do with these techniques here, is to show you ways to maybe get those armies painted faster and maybe not have to struggle as much. Maybe not have to struggle quite as hard because, well, we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And you can bet we struggled. Oh my gosh, did we ever struggle? We had no clue what the heck we were doing. We didn't even know that you should paint the gravel. We didn't know what static grass was. We had no idea what was going on. But we observed, we studied, we learned, we did what we could. And then eventually it started to really, it took years, but it definitely started to work out. Now let's get a little bit more of our metal medium out here again. So remember, this is your white for all intents and purposes. And I'm not going to mix the white with it. But I do want to get a little bit of my fluorescent green into that. I'm just trying to get my brush into here, so bear with me while I do that. There we go. That took a few tries. I'm just trying to get some brighter green reflections there. And if possible, I want to get a couple of other little, I always call them sort of spectral light, these little dots of light here and there. It can, again, help you create sort of a more of a non-metallic effect, but with metallic paint. And we're going to do more reflected light over there. I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see that. What it does is it magnifies the purple that's on the right next to it there. Speaking of that, I'm going to go into this. This is my, remember that dark purple that I made that was so much fun? Well, that's going to go in here. And purple and green always really go they play nice together. So see again, just see what that does. See how that, look at that. It just makes it look more like it's weird that you're painting with metallic paints and yet you're trying to make it look more like metal. but these are the things that TMM lets you do. Still all metallics, but you're giving the effect a bit of a boost here, for lack of a better term. Just giving it a bit of a boost. And we're going to do some of our, again, see that darker, now you can see it. Let's see, look at that again, purple to blue. Lots of fun stuff going on. But now, if you guys are new, you're seeing this for the first time, if you do the subscribe thing, and you want to be sure to click that all notifications bell, which I forgot to do that again twice this week. No wonder I'm not getting the notifications of. I'll get a notification of a new video like 2 weeks after it's happened, which is less helpful. And I guess that must be a mobile thing or something, because I try to do these live sessions as often as I can. If you want more live sessions, you can subscribe also to or follow me on Twitch. Here, this is a whole different type of purple right here. I just put a little bit of that faded ultramarine in there. Now it's going to be more opaque though. Gotta remember that. So yeah, give me a follow there. I just did another session on that last night. There'll be another one coming up later this week. So yeah, if you want to give me a follow there, then you can check out more of the fun stuff like this. Now this, okay, see how that all it took was that tiny bit of the faded ultramarine in there, and this really starts to cover. It is no longer as translucent as it was. So just gotta keep that in mind. I will throw in a little more of the metal medium. And what you should see is that this gets, see how that's lighter now? That's just the effect of that little bit, tiniest bit of the faded ultramarine in there. So you don't have to use only just the transparent colors. You can use more than that, because, well, I just did it there. Wow, that really does, that tiny bit of opaque really makes a difference. Let's try this in a few other places too. Interesting. Very interesting. Here, let's get some more reflected light down there. Always have to think of that reflected light. And look at how, see, even there on that spine, look at how that changes. Oh, thanks, Bethany. Appreciate it. I do hope that the internet's been at least somewhat holding out for you during this little session here. Because, I mean, to me, this is almost like, this is as close as fun time, I guess, as I can get with this. Just trying brand new things that I have not tried before. There, I'm putting some more of the metal medium in there. So again, avoiding that white, but since these are so opaque, it really does change. Wow, that really changes things. How's about some of that over here then? Right in there. It's almost a little bit of a crosshatch there. So again, this constant change between some of the purple, some of the blue, the green, some of the bronze. Let's see just what happens when we just take a bunch of the metal medium, put it in there with that faded ultramarine. Let's see just what kind of, wow, we do get some serious coverage out of that. Holy smokes. That is good to know. And I'm going to try with this lighter thing. I'm just going to put a little bit of a kind of a chain there. Again, always thinking that linear chain of lights. Let's see if we can't get a bit of a, again, for what it is, sort of a highlight there too. Now I'm going to get this purple. Boy, can I get that stuck into here too? Now I know that the hand, it wants to focus there. The hand's kind of in the way there. Yeah, that works. I'll try a bit of that for some of my reflected light on the underside of the hand. How's about on some of these side vents? Like so. Not absolutely everywhere, just in a few spots there. So yeah, that's a whole, see how that's a different type of purple there? Different type of purple, but it's, like I said, still metallic because we keep adding metal medium to it. And as long as we do that, every color we put on this ends up being a metallic. Every single one. Maybe some a little less than others. Like I said, as soon as you get into those more opaque paints, you're taking away some of the metallic effect. Just something to be aware of. Now I want a different sort of striation, so I'm going to take this purple here. Again, we're going to go with the metal medium there. I just got to get my hand in a good spot. There we go. Yeah. It's a little bit like what we did on the edges over here. I needed to do that over here too. But I also have my darker blue here. So I'm going to have both the purple and the blue, see that right next to each other? Look at that. Right next to each other. I'm going to put some of that over here too. I'm going to get some of that onto his head. So we have lots of the pinks and stuff up there, not too much of the blue. So, there. And I think we're also going to, a couple of little blue right in there. So again, see how that is, yes, that's metallic, but each of those is a different color that I painted in there. I can even add a little touch of my transparent black mix to that. And I think, yeah, we'll put some of that blue over here too. We just gotta, the fingers are looking a little bit too plain. Have to get some more color in there. I've got all this color everywhere else. Sort of like that color has to go somewhere, or if a color goes somewhere, it's got to go everywhere. And we're going to throw a bit of our blue here. So we did kind of purple on the other side. This side will have it be a darker blue in some places, like there. And this, we already enhanced that with the darker purple there. And I'm even going to throw some of this. Again, this is my dark bluish black metal. I'm going to throw some of that into the gloss cannon there. And we're just going to, look at that. It darkened that, but because it still has the metal medium in there, it retains that all-important metal look, because it's so easy to lose that. So I had that blue dot right there on the side of his head. I'm going to try and get a nice little line there. Because remember, we haven't done much with that since the original basically shaded base coat portion of the program. Now we wanted to get some dark right in there. There. It's very similar to see this chain of lines here. This is such a good spot for it. Gotta do that. Such a great spot. And again, there's a bunch of stuff you can't see, so I just won't focus on that too much. As tempted as I am to mess around with it, I'll just leave that go. And let's see, I think, yeah, we'll let a little shading get into there. I still feel like I want more reflected light on his face, which means more metallic medium. It lightens that up. Think you can see this. Oh, Cas Negri. I took a picture the other day of a bug that has this color scheme, except the goal was a metallic orange. You know what? I'm kind of fascinated by this metallic orange. I might have to figure out something to do where the metallic orange is sort of the predominant color, like that bug. Well, what was the, oh gosh, drop fleet commander? And there is basically a fleet that's supposed to be semi-bug like, and their ships are sort of orange, I think. Well, there you go. Because I was originally going to try and use color shift paint on those, and it just did not work. I was very disappointed with the results. And I kind of had given up on that, and then I thought, well, maybe the metal medium will work, and it really did. Now, let's go. I need some more metal medium out here. The metal medium and the yellow really makes a fantastic gold. There, look at that. Nice and bright. Bright, shining gold. Which we can start to throw in these areas for a little bit here. Yeah, look at that. Here, let's get a touch of that over here too. Oh, yeah. All right, that's good. I'm going to do some more of that here then, because I'm really liking how that, yeah, see how that influences that. I want some more of that back here. As much as I enjoy the orange, I also want to get some other colors here. Just for an indication of something different. Here, let's even get the slightest touch of gold right there. Let's even get some of that into our freehand. Makes that just look a little bit more interesting and alien. There. Now I'm going to get me just a little something to drink here. 1 second. Thank you. Sorry for having that go in your ear, but I was getting mighty thirsty. I've been talking for hours and hours and hours today, filming videos, and now doing this. So, and we're 2.5 hours into this. You know what? I'm gonna get a little bit of. Can you see that? There's some gold reflected light going on here just for the heck of it, just to be a little bit different. Oh, and if you haven't seen the base for this, well, we obviously won't have time for this tonight, but this is the base. It was made again with the Sculpey and the texture rollers from Green Stuff World. Here's another base that's been painted. And we've got an even bigger one. So this is another live session that I did, but this is with the non-metallic. And again, you can see the base there. He's up on a nice little wall over there. Let's move this stuff out of my way so I can get my arm in there. Let me see what I can do here to get some gold in on his head and on his chest. I do have to say the one thing that that happens when you start to add the metal medium is it makes your paint thicker than it was. But if you saw in that very beginning, those opening stages, what did we do? We actually did a glaze first. So I do suggest that maybe go back to the beginning of this and watch that, because then you can see how we essentially made ourselves a wash that was metallic. It is very fun. And here we're going to do that, again, the dark green. We're going to work on some of these little dots here, because remember, we were going to fill those in after the fact. Make those a little bit more round. A little more of a Necron look to them. These guys also need tiniest bit of a dot inside. There, same with these guys. It's so much easier to just do this later than to try and draw that circle in. See how that cleans that up a bit? Now let's see what we can do here on his shoulder pad. Oh, but he says most of my minis are orange. Yes, well that's your whole pumpkin theme, because I remember saying that. When did you post that? Was it last week or the week before, when you, maybe about 9 days ago, when you first did your big splash of your wood elf army there with all the nifty oranges and a couple of green accents in there too, which were very fun. But actually, my lizard man army, there was plenty of orange in that. I had a whole entire unit of skink and croxigores that were orange and reds and browns. So again, see that? Just throw in some dark right there. If you want to have light, you've got to have dark. And we're going to throw some more darks over here. And that is essentially sort of a black-green. So we've got that a lighter strip there. Then we've got this dark green. Then we've got that blue. Then we've got our lighter purple over there. We're just constantly working our way around this. Yeah, see, I'm going to get some couple of dark accents right there. It makes your lighter colors really stand out just a bit more. Again, this is the same. It's the transparent black, the transparent green with the metal medium, and all of those from Pro Acryl. And see, look at what we can darken this down now. Put a little bit of shading on our freehand. That starts to settle in and look like it's part of it rather than it's just sort of plastered on top of it. I'm even going to throw a touch of that dark greenish black over there. Possibly some right there. So it shifts constantly. The greens and the blacks. Oh, not wood elves. The pumpkinhead crypt slayers. Some purple witches for contrast. Now I've got, well, the Osiarchs too. Oh man, this I think this has to happen on the Osiarchs, because as much as I love me some non-metallic stuff, it could be fun to do this on the Os, because I wanted to actually have those be, instead of just the bone, actually have them be almost like they're metal instead of bone. So I think I might just have to do that. I have plenty of the Osiarchs. I think I even have 2 sets of the cavalry. So why not try both? What the heck? It's always fun to just, with the great ideas that people come up with their armies. Now here, this needs a dark in it too. So it has got a series of lights and middle tones, but no darks until now. There's our dark there. That also needs to be darker. And we're going to give it that dark green for the heck of it. It's like a black green, essentially. One more set of darks here too. Constantly throwing in these lines of darks. Now I want to go back to this is my darker blue here. Ah, I love that dark blue. That's going to go right here. That is such a nifty blue. That is such a fun blue. Absolutely love it. Let's see if I can't almost do a bit of a glaze of that here. So we're going to actually glaze metallics. Again, we did this in the beginning. We are going to do it now here much later. So see how look at how we could just glaze that on there. And see, it's a nice tinting glaze. We could do that with the purple also. So it ain't over till it's over. You can still glaze with your metals even at this point. Look at that. So lots of fun things with this. At some point I'll see if this works also with the contrast paints. I don't know if it will. It might very well work too. It all depends on how intense the contrast paint pigment is. Will this kind of thing work? And it's always worth trying. You never know when you might find something really nifty. I used to say no to techniques way more in the early days, and now I kind of don't say no to anything. Say, you know what, I got to give it a try. Oh, Frederick Christensen asks, if the Pro Acryls need to get the transparent line. Oh, this is, lo and behold, boom, look at that. It's Pro Acryl. Oh, let me show you something here. I'm going to have to step over here to grab it. Just enough reach on the mic. So this is one of the hardest things. Whoops, wrong jar. One of the hardest things to develop here. Because take a look at the date on that. So 2018, December 2018. It wasn't even called metal medium. It's called pearl mixing medium. And look at that. It was their very first test jar. And I mean, I can even just look at this looks nothing like this. This is amazing stuff. Now, the first time I tried it was with the Vallejo metal medium, and that worked great. I have a bunch of jars of that. I still like it, but they just happened to make that. And I can't confirm nor deny that they might be making some fluorescent paints. I'm just maybe throwing that out there. Someone might have begged them enough to actually do that. Just kind of like the kid that says, "Are we there yet?" So I'm going to get some of that darker green. I almost think about glazing some of that in right there and there too. So yes, you can glaze with metallics. Speaking of which, I need some. I think I'm just going to go with some fluorescent glazes now. And this is where'd you go? This is the golden fluorescent. You've seen me use this on a bunch of the previous live sessions, especially lately. And there is several different versions of it. There's the magenta, there's a blue, I think there's a yellow, and there's an orange, and I've got all of those. And I have other live episodes that show how to use that, so definitely think about giving that a look-see there, especially on, oh, what were those? The Hellboy figure? Yeah, the Hellboy figures. Now I'm going to get some a little bit lighter here with the fluorescent green in a couple of areas. Just gonna, yeah, right here on this, the power coupling here, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, since I did not prep these myself, they weren't exactly, there were no mold lines filed whatsoever in any of these things. And there was all kinds of nasty primer stuck to them and everything else. So I had to really, it's a rescue job, to say the least. And I thought that's why I would try out some of these new techniques on them, because, well, they were basically, somebody probably would have just chucked them in the garbage anyways. And I figured I could save them and see what I could do with them that's fun and new and interesting. And lo and behold, I found me some fun, new, interesting things to do. I'll add Mist and made the medium themselves. Hope to get the latest release to the EU. Yeah, no problem. No problem. There was also, geez, there was even a container ship that was basically held in port at one point. This is months ago. Just so many bizarre things have happened. I felt really bad because they worked really hard on that paint line. Really, really hard. Because remember in the early days when we would, at this very station right here, we'd be doing some Google Hangouts, and that's when I was testing out their metal medium, comparing it to the Vallejo metal medium, so you could see what the expectations were for it. So they really do put a ton of effort into the development of their stuff. And it was important too, especially for me, that there was a reason for it. And why are you making this paint? How is it different from everything else that's, well, already out there? And that was definitely a commitment of theirs too. They wanted to make sure that there was actually a reason to buy this stuff. And it definitely, between its coverage and all those different type of things, it really is different. All right, we need just a few hints of reflected light down here in the chest plate there. We'll give just a bit of more reflected light there. And then I'm going to go back into my blue here again. Just a touch of that right in there. I think we'll hit some of these. Yeah, let's just give that a little. It's more than just making it darker. It's also changing the color of it a bit, because now it's got just some more blue to it, right next to some of the more yellowish. There we go. So that was very fun. Now, I know I've said it before. If you want to see pictures of finished things, then you can check out the Instagram page there. That's where all of the finished images tend to be. So here I'm going to just do a couple more darks on this. But I just want to say thanks to everybody that dropped by. I really appreciate it. It's fun to have the company, and, well, hopefully this kept you company here, either late into the night or early in the morning or in the middle of the day or supper time, because in some parts it was definitely supper time when this began. But thanks again, everybody, and I will catch you on the next one. See you then.